Look, if you're still buying weed from some guy named Trevor in a parking lot, you're doing it wrong. Mood.com delivers legal THC products straight to your door. Gummies, vapes, flour, the good stuff. No sketchy DMs, no med card. Just add to cart, checkout, and boom, it's at your doorstep. It's legal in all 50 states thanks to the Farm Bill, and Mood's products actually work. Seriously, this isn't gas station garbage. It's small batch, lab tested, real results. Go to mood.com, use code FIRST20 for 20% off, and never run dry again. That's mood.com. Go get lit, legally.
Not all of our minisodes need to be from listeners. In fact, places or lesser-known cases can sometimes take us to dark realms. Hello everyone, and welcome back to one of my favourite times of the week, where we get to look at an existing place with all of its legends and lore already there for us to look at, go into and pick apart. And today, we are heading to Transylvania. Now, of course, the first thing you'll all think of, as I do when I hear the word Transylvania, is Vlad the Impaler, Dracula, vampires, etc. And you'd be right to do so. But not for this particular episode. Because, fortunately, or unfortunately, dependent on which side of the coin you look at, Transylvania is not only home to this mythical/historical legend. It's also the home of its unofficial capital, Cluj-Napoca, a beautiful city with some of the best medieval architecture you're arguably ever going to see. But it's the outskirts of Cluj-Napoca that we're going to head to in this episode. And beautiful is arguably still a word that could be used, dependent on your disposition. Before we head to today's Dark Realm, a quick reminder, we are still, of course, giving away a free week of Patreon at our highest tier, giving you full access to Dark Bites, our Patreon-only podcast, and its entire back catalogue of over 130 hours of experiences sent in that have only been heard by Patreons. Just click the link in the show notes, enjoy your free week, and if it's not for you, simply cancel. No harm, no foul, as they say. But right now, let's head back to Transylvania, back to its unofficial capital, Cluj-Napoca, walk through that beautiful city with all of its amazing architecture, and eventually, we reach the outskirts of the town, and the start of the eerie place that is today's Dark Realm, Hoia Baciu Forest. This eerie woodland on the outskirts of Cluj-Napoca has earned nicknames like Romania's Bermuda Triangle for its long history of unexplained and terrifying phenomena. The forest is home to some of the most bizarrely shaped trees you will ever encounter, and no one seems too sure why. Their skeletal trunks twisting, spiraling, and contorting to make visitors feel as if the trees themselves were trying to reach out and touch them. Local legend holds that the very name Hoia Baciu comes from a shepherd who vanished here along with his 200 sheep, never to be seen again. But it was in 1968 when the forest truly captured worldwide attention. A military technician named Emil Barnier snapped a photo of a disc-shaped UFO hovering above an eerie central clearing where no plants ever grow. Barnier's pictures cost him his job under Romania's communist regime, but they solidified Hoia Baciu's reputation as a nexus of the paranormal. For locals, though, alien visitors only make up a small part of their fear of Hoia Baciu. Many refuse to set foot in the forest at all, believing its crooked oaks are stalked by restless spirits. Some claim these are the ghosts of medieval peasants murdered on the land, roaming in rage at their untimely deaths. Over the years, visitors have reported countless chilling experiences, from sudden nausea and burning rashes to mysterious scratches appearing on the skin, malfunctioning electronics, disembodied voices, and even spectral faces showing up in film-developed photographs. The following are three of the most truly terrifying tales from Hoia Baciu's legend-filled lore, Stories so dark and bizarre, they truly blur the line between mere myth and malevolent reality. And we begin with the tale of the little lost girl for 5 years. One of Hoia Baciu's most harrowing legends is the tale of a 5-year-old girl who vanished into the woods, only to reappear years later as if nothing had ever happened. The child wandered off into the forest one day, and when she didn't reappear after many hours, she was reported as lost, which of course resulted in an extensive search party. And that party combed every glade and thicket of that forest in vain. Hours turned into days, turned into weeks, turned into months, and no trace of the girl was found. All hope faded. 5 long years later, so the story goes, the girl suddenly emerges from the trees, unharmed and not a day older than when she disappeared. In fact, she was still wearing the same clothes she wore on the day of her disappearance, and she couldn't recall anything about the last 5 years. Imagine the shock and confusion this caused that rippled throughout the community. This girl had seemingly been frozen in time, as if Hoia Baciu had plucked her out of reality, only to drop her back in without any rhyme nor reason. Locals whispered that the forest may be a portal to a parallel universe, or perhaps create some distortion in time. How else to explain such an occurrence? To this day, no one knows where the young girl went, or what kept her alive through those 5 brutal Transylvanian winters, or how she didn't age a day. True or not, this legend is real and close to the hearts and souls of the residents of Cluj-Napoca. And the idea of a timeless trap within Hoia Baciu is terrifying, because it suggests that those who enter its depths might slip into a place where time stands still, and only return years later, if to return at all. Next, we'll take a look not at one particular ghost or entity, but at the overall restless spirits and voices of the dead within Hoia Baciu. The forest itself is often called the world's most haunted forest, and the ghostly encounters reported here will help explain why. According to legend, hundreds of Romanian peasants were slaughtered in those very woods in ancient times, and their uneasy souls are said to still wander beneath the crooked boughs. Visitors will frequently describe the unsettling feeling of being watched by something unseen, which is shortly followed by the soft crack of a twig or a whisper carried on the wind. Many claim to have seen ghosts with their own eyes, shadowy apparitions peeking from behind the gnarled trunks, pale faces appearing in photographs even though no one was visible when they were taken. It's not only sights, but sounds that raise goosebumps in Hoia Baciu. In the dead of night, people have heard disembodied giggles, female voices echoing through the darkness. Some hear blood-curdling screams of young girls, or hushed discussions in an unfamiliar language even to locals. But perhaps the most unnerving thing is when the spirits seem to speak directly to visitors of the forest. In spring 2018, a group of 4 campers claimed they experienced a truly spine-chilling encounter in the heart of the forest. Well past midnight, as they huddled round their tent, an unseen old man's voice began politely calling out from the void, "Can I come in? Hello? Can I come in? Hello?" This raspy voice repeated his polite request over and over for 15 interminable minutes. Nobody had the guts to move a finger, said one camper, describing how they lay frozen in terror as the courteous but eerie knocking voice circle their tent. When the phantom visitor finally fell silent, the friends burst from their tent and fled for their lives, not stopping until they reached the road outside the forest. In the daylight, they went back to the campsite, and other than their own, they found no footprints, no sign that any human had been in the area other than them. So, was it an elaborate prank? Or one of Hoia Baciu's angry spirits luring them with false civility? The campers couldn't be sure. The only thing they could be sure of was the experience left them badly shaken. Stories just like this are there by the dozen regarding Hoia Baciu. People who enter the forest at night will often emerge badly frightened or not at all. Some leave with inexplicable burns, scratches or bruises on their bodies, with no memory of how they ever got there. Others flee after invisible hands will touch or tug at their clothes. Even those who escape unharmed still report an oppressive atmosphere that feels unnaturally cold. Many people report feeling, and I quote, as if they walked with the dead. In this forest, it's as if the very air is charged with the anguish of long dead souls. Any psychics who have dared venture inside the forest insist that the barren central clearing, known as the Dead Zone, is a nexus of spiritual energy. And many agree that perhaps it's even a portal where the dead freely cross into our world. Indeed, Hoia Baciu's infamous clearing has drawn witches, occultists, etc., who gather to attempt to open a gate to another dimension. Now, whether you believe in such things or not, it is easy to see why even local people have long feared this truly dark forest. And so, it's only right that we end with the unseen force of the haunted clearing, the Dead Zone. Amongst all of Hoia Baciu's many paranormal episodes, there is one terrifying incident that stands out for having been caught on camera. In 2009, a team of investigators from a famous paranormal TV show conducted a night exploration in Hoia Baciu's most notorious spot, the perfectly round clearing where nothing grows. This meadow, encircled by dense forest, has long been considered the epicenter of the entire forest's dark energy. Not only do witnesses describe strange lights flitting between the trees that encompass this strange circle, but also anyone's electronic device seems to suddenly die, even when fully charged. The team that night were hoping to document evidence of the paranormal, but they got much more than they bargained for. Lead researcher Josh Gates and his crew spread out into the darkness, and their equipment began to register odd electromagnetic spikes. First, an invisible presence made itself known as a faint sound. The EVP recording later revealed a woman's faint sigh, then a creepy giggle that echoed through the deserted meadow. But the true horror struck when cameraman Evan, left alone in the clearing for a solo session, suddenly screamed and was flung backward by an unseen force. Now, I will be the first person to say these TV programs, they need something for people to watch. And although I would never call them out as fake, there could be reasons why they need to do that. Ratings, viewership, etc. However, in this particular instance, as the team rushed towards his panicked shouts, in the footage, Evan's body can be seen lifted and thrown as if by a giant invisible hand in a split-second burst of motion. They found him sprawled on the ground, several feet from where he'd been sitting, dazed and terrified. It was like a very strong, unstoppable wind that swept me up, he later said, struggling to describe the impossible, as there'd been no wind at all. Shaken, the crew hastily checked him for injuries, and to their alarm, they discovered long, bloody scratch marks raked down his arms and torso. However, suitably dressed for an evening in Transylvania in the outdoors, Evan had been wearing a thick long-sleeve jacket and gloves. There were no tears in his clothing. It was as if something had reached through his coat, his jumper, and clawed at him. The violent attack left these veteran ghost hunters rattled. Unsurprisingly so when you consider you're watching footage of your friend being thrown by an invisible force. The host, Josh Gate, remarked whilst reviewing the tape, no ordinary explanation could account for what they saw. In fact, the incident was so intense that when the crew returned to Hoia Baciu a few years later, Evan flat out refused to place a single foot back inside Hoia Baciu. Those who have dared to spend time inside the forest say the place isn't good for people. Visitors leave feeling drained, disoriented, sometimes physically injured or emotionally scarred. And yet, the mystery continues to lure the curious and the brave. By day, Hoia Baciu can appear quiet and beautiful, even innocent-looking, if not slightly strange. But when darkness falls, and those twisted silhouettes of the trees claw at the sky, the forest shows you its true face, its true colours, and they're all dark. It's in these moments, as an uneasy silence falls and shadows shift in the corner of your eye, it's very easy to believe the old legends. Because Hoia Baciu Forest holds secrets, and if you wander too far, you may never return from this dark realm. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next week at our next Dark Realm.